Yeah. So my name is Barry Yaney. I am a business advisor at Community Futures, Grand Prairie and Region. My responsibility there is to help entrepreneurs get started or grow their business. And I've been doing it now for around 6 years now. This is my sixth year and having fun at it. So it's all good. I'm also the facilitator for Empowerize and have been since we first started in 2020.
My name is Holly Sorgen. I'm the Executive Director for Community Futures Grand Prairie and Region, which basically means I do a little bit of everything.
Well, I'll start. Empowerize is actually a training program and pitch competition. It is now for BIPOC entrepreneurs, so Black, Indigenous, people of color. And it didn't start that way. When we first started it in 2020, it was strictly Indigenous entrepreneurs. And this was came from our funder, which was an oil company, and they wanted it strictly to be Indigenous, which was fine with us. We felt Indigenous was underrepresented to begin with. So it was a good opportunity for us to get started there. And that's what we did. And we started with that training program, that pitch competition. It was interesting when we started because when we first started, the intent was that we were going to have this program with everyone coming together and meeting in one location. Of course, in 2020, the world closed. And so we had to pivot and change. And so not only were we learning a new training program, but we were also learning a new way to deliver the program online. And so that was a challenge in itself in learning how to do that. But when we did get through it, it worked out great. And we found that the disadvantages, there's always an advantage in person to person, but the disadvantage for us was the fact that we couldn't do this in person, but the advantage was we got a bigger reach. And so we could we've had students from not just Alberta, but from Saskatchewan, from BC, and even we had a couple of entrepreneurs from Ontario. So we've had a bigger reach with it. And so that's the advantage of it. And we actually learned how to deliver the program online, and it seemed to go smoothly.
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting, the Empowerize program. Barry and I met to kind of discuss, like, after the program itself was kind of coming to completion with the first funders that we had, and we had seen such growth with the clients that we were working with. We didn't want to lose that momentum. And when CF digs its teeth in, watch out. So we're like, okay, how could we build this program to be something bigger? How could we ensure that we were meeting the needs of a client that maybe we didn't even recognize before? And when we didn't have kind of the confines of Indigenous or this specific area, or, how do we get into this specific industry? It allowed us to think a little bit broader. And that's really where we said, where do we see the biggest opportunities within our own client groups? And where do we see that on a provincial level and national level? And what we really recognized was the newcomer, the Black, Indigenous, person of color, whatever that was, those were the types of clients that we had coming in more and more often. And we thought, well, that just seems so logical. So we kind of followed the needs of the client to come up with a solution for them. So we took the bones of the Shell Livewire program, which essentially is really what Barry was saying. It's a business training program. There's a pitch competition, a little bit of cash, a little bit of services. But for all intents and purposes, really what it is it meets the client wherever they're at. So the materials that we develop and we bring to them will fit no matter where they are. So it might be in pre-ideation stage, might be, can I validate business validation? Or it might be, I have a new concept, a new idea, I have some growth strategy. How am I going to know if it's going to be positive? And so what we've done is created a program that kind of tailors the needs of the clients, which is very unique. I would say it's not an out of the box. It's not just out of the box, it's out of the box. And we really are saying, who do we have that's applied? Who do we have that's going to be part of the cohort? Let's pick and choose the guest speakers and the topics to meet the needs that they have. So after we did our first cohort of Empowerize, we actually went back to all of our past alumni from programs before, plus the alumni from here, and said, how can we improve this program? And so it's constantly evolving as well. And I think that really serves the client because it's not stagnant and it really meets their needs where they are. And I think they'll accelerate faster because of it. How does Empowerize help the community or help its community? I think there's a twofold answer to that. Uh, we really recognize that great ideas aren't always ones that get off the ground, and there's always a reason. Usually, the aspiring entrepreneur has a great idea, they're excited about it, they present it to somebody, and if there is a lack of understanding, a lack of clarity, that idea sometimes just dies on the cutting room floor because someone doesn't understand it. They don't finance it. They don't invest. They don't get it. And so we saw a real need for that community of new aspiring entrepreneurs, no matter where they were with things, is how can we prepare them the very best for their business concept and their business idea to kind of explode and be really investment ready. And what that involves is getting clear. It involves business model canvas. It involves understanding what your best value proposition is. It involves setting yourself up as a unique offering agent. And if we can do that and fulfill that, then we have all these economic development spinoffs of new business coming to market, new tax dollars, new jobs being created. So it's not just about the micro business being started. It's about what do we aspire for it to be and how can that contribute to a larger kind of global economy. And to be really frank, small business sometimes gets overlooked at their value because we look at foreign direct investment, we look at business investment attraction, and we kind of big, right? We want the big industries to come in, but the smaller businesses are what are our backbone. And that's what really creates solid financial and economic foundation. And that's what we specialize in. So, I mean, we're helping one person, but they're going to be exponentially more effective in the economy because of it. Back in 2018, 2019, our first funding partner, Shell Canada, was looking to bring the Shell Livewire program out of a bunch of other countries. They'd not done this program in North America before. They were looking for the most logical place to situate. And so they zeroed it down going, okay, where's the most robust place that we can do the things that we want to do? And Alberta was there. Where's the most robust place that we could do things? And they kind of said Northern Alberta. And then they started to really talk to communities in Northern Alberta to kind of figure out where's the best community. Then they kind of said Grand Prairie area is kind of where they felt they had the best opportunity. And they came to the community and started to do some focus groups and talking with different stakeholders here with the idea of trying to find who that perfect partner would be. And at that time, our office was busy. We were kind of doing the things, didn't have an opportunity to actually meet with the Shell crew when they were here. But what we did recognize was our partners were armed with a lot of information. And so they were talking about this program, and everyone they talked to was like, this sounds like a perfect project for Community Futures Grand Prairie region. And so that, I guess, speaks to, that there's the perfect kind of marriage between us and Shell to make that happen. And so then we stepped in and we're like, of course, like this just makes so much sense. The roots of that program, the roots of our program were so similar. And so it was a little bit of a kudos to us in the sense that we can make this happen. And we're fairly agile. We have a board of directors that's super amazing who sees vision. And they allowed us to kind of steer the ship in the direction that needed to go, especially after, the world did close down. And we just went around it.
Certainly, I think that what Holly said, it makes sense because the community itself, like I think that Grand Prairie region is probably one of the ones that are loaded with entrepreneurs that are starting up. Like so there's a great opportunity here. We work with these entrepreneurs all the time, and so for us, it was a natural progression to facilitate this program because essentially it was what we were already doing.
Right. Yeah. We found actually in some of those important issues that we wanted to address with this program, we found that Community Futures, we're generalists, but we're specialists. So we kind of handle every aspect of business, just enough to be dangerous and not enough to kind of really dig into it. And where we found something like Shell Livewire now Empowerize really helps us is to direct all that energy, bring those subject matter experts in, bring the specialists in to help inform the general process of business development. And so what we really recognized, there was this huge opportunity to kind of take all this stuff foundationally that we've always been doing and then up it, about 1,000%. And so that was really what we wanted to do was was bring all that knowledge together in this clearinghouse. And then really the client, the cohort that we had became the guinea pigs to kind of test out all that stuff and test the theories that we had about business validation and connection and cohorts and why those were so important. And I think we really saw some great results coming out of it. So we weren't willing to let it go. We were like, there's something good here. We just have to get a bit more time, more of a runway to find those partners that will help us sustain it and make it something that just exists and we don't have to worry about it being paid for. When Barry and I first started talking about like, how can we take this amazing program that we have and just make it bigger, better, more applicable, more whatever it was, we started kind of looking at who are we helping currently and how could we help them better and what are their needs. And so we did see that we had an increasing number of individuals coming in, maybe newcomers to Grand Prairie or newcomers to Alberta and newcomers to Canada. It didn't really make a difference because the business culture in Alberta is different than everywhere else. And we saw a real opportunity for those newcomers to help them figure out and navigate this new system and new ecosystem. So that was number one. Like, how can we help them stop spinning their wheels, and be uncertain? How can we help them get forward momentum? And then we also felt that, a lot of the clients that we had sometimes did feel that there were barriers to their ability to be successful. Through real fact or not, sometimes it does feel like they had more barriers to being successful. So we were like, how can we help them overcome those things, knowing that they may be stepping into a marketplace that doesn't really understand them, their culture, the way that they're pursuing what they're doing. How can we help them come into this marketplace and be comfortable and really put their best foot forward when they're pitching, when they're putting their products out for people to look at and test? How can we set them up for the best potential for success? And then if we do that, how do we empower them to be really, really confident, not only to give those ideas and put it out there and start and do the things, but then become great mentors? And I think for me, if I look at this program and I look at from the beginning of 2020 to now, I look at how many of those entrepreneurs that we worked with as who started as participants and then became mentors who became participants. There's such a beauty to creating this community of support. And if nothing else, if we've done nothing else but create a community that you could bounce ideas off, that are your biggest supporters, that are, your raving fans, that's usually what most of our entrepreneurs feel, is they feel very isolated when things aren't going well. And I think that was always my intent, was how can we make them feel more comfortable in their skin with their ideas to go out and take the risk? And it's scary. And so if we can stand behind them going, we got you, it's not quite so scary.
Boils down to me, two stumbling blocks that most entrepreneurs have. And the first one is they have this great idea, but they don't know where and how to get started. And I think getting off the ground is one of the biggest challenges that a lot of entrepreneurs face, is where do I go? I know I have this great idea. I know what I want to do, but where do I go with it, right? And so that's the big one. And the other biggest thing that we help entrepreneurs with is confidence. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs that we work with, where we start off with, do not have the confidence to move forward because they feel that maybe they're not good enough, or maybe this is not for them. They just feel a lack there of that confidence to get started. And certainly what we find is through our program is entrepreneurs gain this confidence, and we see where they started and we see where they ended, and there's a tremendous difference.
Yeah, that's huge. When we first started this back in 2019, Barry alluded to this earlier. We had big, hairy, audacious goals. We were like, we're going to have 75 people in the first cohort, and then we're going to have 150. And we planned this big thing. And the world had a different way of looking at that. We weren't bringing together 75 people. We couldn't even bring together 7, in a physical space. And so I think when we initially looked at it, we were like, yeah, we're going to solve all the world's problems with this cohort, and it's just going to grow, and we're going to take over the world. But really, to be really frank, it was more about how can we accelerate some of this process? How can we develop that confidence in the clients so that they feel that they have a real marketable idea, a real marketable product service to take to the market? And how can we change and shift the way that the general community looks at these new entrepreneurs coming into the marketplace? And at the time that was Indigenous clients. And yeah, there were times when I know they felt that they were definitely not on the level playing field. And so then as we look at this evolution of the program into Empowerize, many of those clients are feeling the same way. And if we can make them ultra confident, up their game 2 times, we're coming into a marketplace that is expecting something different from us. And if you're different, the expectation is different. And we're a fairly monogamous looking community. And so if there was some way that we could help them set themselves apart and really embrace the things that make them different, that's what creates economic development. That's what creates growth. And for me, if we've done that and we've empowered our clients to feel powerful enough to say, no, that's not okay. Or why is it like that? Or no, I would like to appeal that decision. If we've done that, we've checked a lot of boxes and we've empowered them to then face all of those things on their own in a much more positive way.
Well, I think the biggest approach we took was adopting the business model canvas. I think it created kind of like a map, a roadmap, if you will, for our entrepreneurs, what to focus on when they're looking at either starting their business or growing their business. And we found that the business model canvas, and when I first looked at it, I went, this looks great. I have no idea what to do with it, but it looks really, really good.
One page.
And once I did learn how to do it, I recognized that it helped entrepreneurs focus on what the things that are important. And that way then, because as an entrepreneur, as we start off, there's many things that are distracting. And some of the entrepreneurs spend more time working in their business than working on their business. And so it gives us that tool. The business model canvas gets a tool for the entrepreneur to start working on their business, to organize their thoughts and ideas, and to come up with a solid game plan as to how to get started. And so the business model canvas is an excellent way to do that. It focuses in on things that are important, like the customer, the client. Who is your ideal clients, and how do you find them, and how do you get them? And so that's the cornerstone of the business model canvas.
Yeah.
The other thing we did was we brought in key partners, strategic partners. And one of the best ways, I think, to what I found anyways, to teach is to tell a story. And a lot of our partners that have come into it have done exactly that. Their approach is to tell that story. And by storytelling, it creates a really good atmosphere for entrepreneurs to understand what they need to do and to move forward. And so many ways, storytelling has been a really good approach to training.
You bet. And to kind of echo and follow on to that storytelling aspect, I think, again, I had alluded to this before, but entrepreneurship can feel fairly isolating, especially if you don't have a social group that is a bunch of entrepreneurs, your family's not an entrepreneurial family. You can kind of get stuck in am I the only person that's ever experienced this, failed at this? Like, when you have someone tell a story that sometimes you actually look up to them as being like, wow, look at them and what they've achieved. And then they start talking about, I had this happen. I had that happen. This is how I had to overcome. This is something that happened to me regulatorily. All of a sudden they're like, oh, like that guy, had the same experience as me. And they, everything becomes more relative. So I think that's so powerful. And then we also, it's not a new concept, but we brought in, business mentors and, to varying degrees of connectivity. But those mentors then in the 3 a.m. hours are the ones that we can reach out to and be like, what do you think of this? What do I do here? Oh, I have this opportunity. And we become that objective kind of bouncing off. How do I, get from here to here? And if you don't have partners and you don't have workers and you don't have staff, who are you supposed to have the conversations with? Because I've had lots of my clients say, I'm so excited about my business, but like I don't talk about it very much with my friends because my friends are like, oh my God, you're talking about my business again? I'm like, well, move on. Or, cool. Don't start a business. It's the worst time to do that. Are you crazy? And you need someone who can be in your back pocket, right? So I think that mentorship aspect has been huge. And then we didn't kind of think this was going to be the thing, but the pitch competition, it's not even about the prizes, although, it's cash and services. It's more about how do we prepare them for that pitch and getting them ready and confident for 30 seconds and a minute to really be like, this is what I'm selling. This is who I'm selling to, and this is why you should buy. And if we can get them there, that confidence is going to come. So those are some really important aspects. Like I think every accelerator or every program has that. It's just how do we put a unique spin on that to make sure the client's needs are being met.
And one last point on the training aspect is what we try to do is create that team environment. And so our entrepreneurs get together and we put them together forcefully and get them to work together, and they create that team. And so they start supporting one another and helping one another and contacting one another and saying, hey, what do you think of this? And creating that team thing really creates confidence, not just in themselves, but in their own team. Because now I'm not just on an island. I'm not by myself. I'm with this group of people that are here to help me. And so creating that team environment creates a really good opportunity for entrepreneurs to learn and move forward.
It's safe. Yeah.
I think I understand that. So so as far as partnerships go, I think we have a very robust and a large amount of partners that we work with. Most of it is not funding. We do have two media giants in Rogers Media and Pattison Group, who provide us with some high-end service vouchers for the winners of our pitch competition. So that's really important to us, is to have that. But also, for instance, Rogers, they help in terms of, they do their senior marketing guy does a presentation on advertising for our students. So not only are they providing money and some resources, but they're actually providing some training along with it. So so those are two huge partners that we like to deal with. When we started the Empowerize, we brought in the regional innovation networks, which there are 8 districts in the province. And these regional innovation networks work with entrepreneurs that are more tech related, but they have a great resource of other professionals that we have utilized, as well as they have a great network of entrepreneurs that they can work with as well. And so we started with them with the 8 regional innovation networks. We hope to build on that this year, because last year was just starting. And so I think a lot of the regional innovation networks go, okay, we're trying to figure out where they fit. Like, where do I fit in all of this? And we're helping them through that. But I think that with their involvement and with the right amount of coaching that we provide them, that we'll get a bigger reach in the province of Alberta. I think we will get more entrepreneurs on board, and we'll get more support by regional innovation networks. And we also partnered with the BIPOC Foundation, and I think that they are another group that's kind of just getting off the ground. They are trying to get themselves established as to a foundation. And so here's another opportunity where we can help one another. We can help them create an identity and create them more exposure, and they can provide us with some access to some of their entrepreneurs. And so I think it'll be a good balance and a good working relationship. And then, of course, partners we have is graduates. We have graduates from our group that have come in and mentored some of our students, but they've also come in, and it goes back to the storytelling. And so we get a lot of these entrepreneurs come in and tell their story, how they started, where they ended up, because a lot of them are successful entrepreneurs, but they started the same way that they're starting. And so they're making them know, hey, this is how I started. This is the struggles that I went through. And so they go, oh, like even successful entrepreneurs doesn't start off with at the top. They work their way from the bottom and work their way up. And so they tell that story. And I think it gives, again, it instills confidence in these entrepreneurs that are worried about getting started and am I going to be successful? And so when they hear these things, I think it offers them, oh, there is opportunity there and all that. So I got all the partners.
Those would be all the partners. And then kind of, I guess, at a higher level, we were so blessed to be able to access dollars through the Community Futures program provided by Prairies Economic Development Canada. There is a program called the Rural Opportunities Fund, specifically for Community Futures offices who are engaging in business development and economic development type of projects. They had one iteration that was very successful, projects all over the province. They announced a new version. I was like, this is the funder. So we recognize that partnership as being very crucial because it allows us, like I said before, a longer, ramp to kind of ramp up this program and find those main partners that will become sustaining partners for the program. But we're very happy to have gotten some funding and support from the ROF program so that we could elevate this program to this part. And I think that will really help to position us with other partners as well.
Yeah, and in particular with Shell Canada, they decided that after 5 cohorts, they decided to move on, and they wanted something bigger, shinier, whatever they wanted to do. But it was at the end of 2024, and if it wasn't for the Community Futures Pan West and their program, we wouldn't have been able to hold anything in 2025. And so, as a result of their participation and their support, we were able to put through 2 cohorts in 2025, which is huge.
So some of the challenge that we faced kind of coming into this was, again, we had created this amazing program, 5 cohorts, and a major partner who had to step away to kind of look at other opportunities. So we were left with a great program and really no way to get it out to the marketplace without having to charge an exorbitant amount of money for it. And we know startups aren't in a place where they can really access thousands of dollars to be able to access and do a program. They can, but we're really the seminal place where we get them to that place where they have the foundation to say, yes, I'm confident to do this professionally. So that was a big piece for us, was having the ROF committee, and they looked at this proposal and saying, hey, this is an opportunity for us to accelerate, to grow, to expand and evolve. And they embraced that and could see the same vision that we had around how can we take this program and blow it out of the water, and how do we make this program more investment ready so that we can take it out to the general marketplace and find the right partners. So I think really ROF has enabled us to kind of look at the program in a different way and take it out to the marketplace now with much more confidence.
And I think the big thing there is that it created and continued momentum.
Yeah.
Because with 5 cohorts, we had built that momentum, and without the ROF, we would have suddenly stopped. We would have been halted, and we would have had to rebuild from the beginning, and we would have lost all that momentum.
I feel like the Empowerize program could establish itself as a best practice, but I also feel that there is an acumen that Community Futures Grand Prairie brings to this that then would allow us to mentor other offices, maybe the RINs, maybe taking it and going to other provinces and saying, hey, this is how you can access and connect together your cohorts, your CF offices. We have Community Futures offices all over Canada. There are not regional innovation networks, but innovation systems throughout that same thing. This could easily become a best practice as to this is how we can collaborate. And I think that we've learned now since 2020, in almost 6 years, learn from our mistakes. Let's tell you about the pitfalls. Let's tell you about the things that really worked. Let's tell you about what didn't work. So we can prevent the kind of cycles of, cause and failure. So I think that that's a really big part, is that we would really like to establish this as a best practice. As a Community Futures office, we've never hesitated to share our packages with anyone because it's really about the client. We're client-centric. I think there's opportunities for us to commercialize the program itself, and we're just looking for the right partners to help us do that.
And I think the online, realistically, if we could say that because we do the program online, that we could do it across Canada. But I learned that from having participants in places like Ontario, that having a program like this across Canada would be very difficult, and part of the difficulty would be is getting reach to all these communities. Like, how
Mhm.
do we reach them? What format do we use? And so it that's very difficult in itself. But if we can build that sort of like a business in a box or something like that, where we can share it with Saskatchewan, we can share it with Ontario, because there are community futures offices across the country. And why can't we provide this package for them where they can take it and utilize it and try it in their province?
You. If the ROF 2.0 didn't exist, what could have or would have happened with Empowerize, and how would it have affected your community?
Good point. If ROF didn't exist and we didn't have this opportunity to take the program and run with it as we put it together, there's a couple things that could happen. Number one, the program could just end. We've certainly had programs that had great results, but just couldn't find the traction, which happens with great ideas. Sometimes they fall on the cutting room floor. I think one of the bigger risks is that, as I mentioned earlier, it's a great program. Here's a $5,000 program, and then that might have precluded a lot of really great entrepreneurs from being able to take part and take their ideas and make them great. Just because you have the money doesn't mean that it's the right idea at the right time. So we wanted to make sure that we were allowing this program to be as accessible as possible, no matter how much financial wherewithal you had at the beginning. And if we didn't get that funding from ROF, we wouldn't be able to do that. We would have had to sustain it differently. Or conversely, we would have had to really pound the streets to find those sponsors and funders. And I find sometimes then you have some scope creep because you're trying to meet the needs of so many. And so the ROF funding has just really allowed us to really laser focus in on what we wanted to do with Empowerize and the clients that we want to impact. And it takes away all the noise so that we can be really, really specific. And I think that allows us, the next year or so to really refine what that looks like so we can find the right partners to make this program even better.
Yeah, and personally speaking, that I've learned a lot from this program. It has really helped me as a facilitator. I never knew I could be a facilitator, and so uh, it really helped me. And I think it helps our entrepreneurs. And I think that without the raw funding, we would have had a setback. There's no question about it. I think that Holly always says that we'll find a way to do it, and I think we could have. But this is much better. Personally, I feel proud. I mean, it's something that I've taken on, and Holly has allowed me to grow with the program, and allowed me to sort of make some of it my own, which is pretty cool. And it's something I've never done before, but I can tell you it's the best thing I've ever done, and it means a lot to me. So.
It's actually kind of interesting because I think for the first couple cohorts, actually, Barry and I work really closely together in putting it all together. And I had passion for the program, don't get me wrong, but I'm a new shiny person. I was like, okay, so you got this? High five. And I know Barry says he's not a facilitator. He's a facilitator. He's facilitated many people to be successful and to support them. And I really appreciate the opportunity to take this program and allow him to kind of personalize it because I could see the passion that he had. And I can see that the clients really respond to that because it's genuine and it's real. And, that isn't about funding and it's not about anything other than that's the philosophy that we have in our office is really about what do the clients need? Let's find their way. Sometimes we get lost too, and they help us find our way and find our purpose again. And it always reminds us this is why we do what we do. And yeah, that's why. I think it's still a work in progress because any good program should be. What did we accomplish in a short sentence? Confidence. I think if there was nothing else that we did but build our clients' confidence to pursue their dreams in a calculated way, that is invaluable. It wouldn't matter what idea it was. If the client had the confidence to move it forward, that's what makes them marketable. So if that's all we did, I think that would be a big checkbook.
And I think for me, the confidence side is that when, personally speaking, when I created myself more confidence in delivering the program, entrepreneurs can tell confidence. They can see it, right? And so if they see that I have confidence in them, they will have confidence in us. And so that works really good that way. When they see confidence, they want to be that.
High five.
That's so true. How would you answer? This is the question, just in case it inspires something else. Describe what you believe were the project's strong points. I think you already said.
Yeah, I think we hit that. Hey, happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last part is thanking Community Futures Pan West for their support through the ROC program.
Well, personally, I can't thank Community Futures Pan West and the ROC program enough. It has given us this opportunity for us to work in 2025 to continue to deliver the products and services, to actually expand it. And, one of the things that I always look at when I finish one of the cohorts is how can we make it better? How can we do something better? What can we change to make it better so that more entrepreneurs are more successful? And so by having that mindset, I think that this program will continue to grow and there won't be a ceiling. ...
I mean, at the end of the day, Pan West and the ROF program have enabled us to scale much faster than we would have normally. Just like we tell clients. And I think what it's done is given us the confidence to say, here's a program, legit results. Let's put this out to the marketplace and see what happens. And I think that there's new partners that are kind of, seeing what we're doing, and those are conversations that I'm really excited to have. And the ROF program made that possible, and I appreciate that for sure.